rocking with Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 46 of 911 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, EJ, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Katie.
Hey guys.
And Grace.
Hi everyone.
Today we'll be talking about 911 Lone Star theories for season 3, discussing the promos, stills, and basically just everything that we know about season 3 that's starting today.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting.
Oh my gosh, it is.
I
can't
forgetting.
believe I can't believe like we're finally here. Like we've waited so long for it.
Let's just have a moment to go.
Yeah, that's
So
literally how I
excited.
feel. Like we've been waiting for this moment, but then my brain just had a moment just a second ago where I'm like, oh my god, I keep forgetting this is going up like on premiere day. So we're like literally today.
No, literally I had
there's
a
an
moment of,
episode.
it's Saturday. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, when this goes up, it'll be
Right.
Friday.
Right. Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess we are recording. I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just say like, oh, today. But then I was like, oh, but we're recording on New Year's Day, which I think is also pretty cool. So
Oh yeah, very cool.
Oh,
Happy
yeah.
New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year's, everyone.
Happy 2022.
and we
And
do
we're all
have a
gonna
lot
speak
to.
in real quietly.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw a meme that was like a bunch of guys huddled around the corner, and somebody had a broom, and they were like pushing the door for 202022 open, just like very
Oh,
slowly. I
that's
was like,
hilarious.
yes,
that to my
that's a
personal.
mood.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you did. I think I reposted. I was like, oh yeah, that's totally like how I feel right now.
Mhm.
Which
Mhm.
it's right, it's because it's kind of the same thing with Lone Star. We've got so much. I mean, we haven't been teased that much in the general sense because we're seeing similar clips over and over again.
But they
like,
keep
they're-
little bits
Yeah.
to those.
they're
clips.
building up the suspense of this snowstorm that's going to cover the first few episodes of the season, and yeah. And of course, you know, Mr. Ronan Rubenstein has been very into
He is
his
serving
teasing.
he is serving a life sentence in teaser jail.
That's so good.
Thank you.
I love that. But we love him. We love him for it. And of course, we're excited for Tarlos. We got Tim Minear, like, shared a Tarlos picture a week or so ago. It was like, and it was right before Christmas. So it was like, that was our Christmas present.
I think it was on Christmas, and I
Was
remember
it?
getting. I think so.
It was
I
either
could be
Christmas or
wrong.
Christmas Eve.
It was one of the two, honestly. And I just remember, and I was like, "Well, Merry Christmas, everybody!" I'm going back
guess-
in our messages to figure out when y'all sent it.
Oh yeah, I know. I think we sent it kind of at the same time.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember where I was when I saw it. I'm 99% sure that I was at work when I saw it, which isn't
Okay,
really...
it was on Christmas Eve.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what I thought. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, what we know is that Texas is hit with a snowstorm, which is replicating the February of 2021 snowstorm they had in Texas that really like did a number on their cities and towns, and it was crazy.
It's
I
hard to
have friends
believe
in
it's
Texas
almost
that
been
were
a year
like,
since that. It
Yeah,
feels
they-
like ages ago, but also it feels like
Right.
it happened yesterday. But
And
that's sort of what everything since 2020 has felt like. To be
right. And so
completely
like
honest.
Texas does get snow, but not in the amount that they got in such a quick amount of time. And I think that was what happened, is like they were just not prepared for that much snow all at once.
Yeah, well,
Like they're used to like a little dusting and then it warms up, but like it was cold, like icy cold for like days, and then snow. And I know I have friends in Texas, like one of them, their pipes burst in their house because they just weren't prepared for needing to keep their pipes warm, and
right.
the power was out for days. Texas is on their own power grid. So like when the power was kicked out, like everybody was out and they couldn't just like borrow power from another state because they're on like completely disconnected from the US power grid.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, like, I feel like me looking at this as like a true snow, I guess, veteran, because I live in the
Yeah,
snowy
really.
city in the world or in the
Mhm.
country. So like I'm totally judging, but like also like I can say like I know that like snowplows literally had to go there to like plow because they don't really have
Right.
Yeah.
plows there where
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't prepared.
No. And like their pipes aren't built for that cold.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
not like New York where like
Yeah.
you're protected, like
Mm-hmm.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Literally, snow is just like a pastime.
Right.
For-
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not a huge fan of driving in it, but I do like we've got snow on the ground. We've had snow all week. And I'm like, I'm driving in it. But like people in southern states who aren't from there or aren't from another state and live in Texas, like they were just like, wow, this is snow. What do we do? So
Yeah.
it was crazy. And hearing the stories and then knowing friends that are down there was nuts. And, and then on top of the snowstorm, obviously we ended season 2 with the 126 being shut down, according to Billy. So we see TK, Tommy, and Nancy are in a completely different paramedic uniform with a new ambulance. It's the Paragon paramedics. Looks like Owen's on leave, which we've recently found a clip or seen a clip that says he was suspended. So he's on some leave suspension.
And I'm just wondering what's happening there. Like, did they get annoyed with him fighting? Like, I have missed some of the updates, to be honest, a few of the promos. I've just been so scattered lately, honestly. But
well, I don't know what it was. Yeah. So a couple of days ago, there was a video posted, and it was basically a clip from the show. And it looked like Owen was walking out of the fire department headquarters in his uniform.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the whole crew. Yeah. And so he says he was suspended. So I'm imagining it was probably because they were mad at him for like punching Billy. And so they're going to suspend him. And then they're going to permanently close the 126 and demolish the building.
Yeah.
And I think that was like maybe right after that. And then, we know recently that there was a mention that there's a big time jump between the end of season 2 and 3. So I think they said 6 to 8 months, something like that.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, like 6 months because May, they said like, oh, like it's literally gonna be like real life, like May to January.
Right.
So like
which
6
makes
months.
sense because they don't want to like put the snowstorm in the middle of like October.
That would be so
fit.
stupid. Like,
right.
Can you imagine? Like, oh, we're getting snow.
Them
in
trying to
October.
pull off a state that doesn't get snow to begin with, or that much snow to begin with, and getting it in like the fall, like that.
You're not New York. Don't pretend. That's what
right.
That's what I have to say.
Yeah, and then see the other thing. Oh yeah, so the rest of the 126 has been kind of dispersed. We know that Grace is in her pregnancy, so she's showing, and Carlos
very
is
far along.
Active.
Yeah,
he's in his uniform, so we know he's back on. Because the last few episodes of the season 2, we didn't see him in the uniform. I'm sure he was dealing with
his house burning
losing
down.
his house and all that trauma, because that you just don't recover from overnight.
Right.
And then what else do we know? A lot. I don't know. It's like I said earlier, it's like it's bits and pieces that, as Grace said, kind of builds. Like every time we get a new clip, it's just a hair longer than the previous one we saw.
Yeah, it's like I feel like we're getting like a lot, but also in a sense I feel like we don't know that much because they've just been teasing mostly the ice storm, snowstorm, whatever you want to call it, and stuff. But compared to 911, we were getting a lot more like promos.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, their advertising for 911 was bullcrap.
Yeah.
And they're doing amazingly right now compared to that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting and stuff, like the comparisons of like how they choose to advertise, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, when we heard that like Tim and Nira had just been spending more time with Lone Star, sort of everything made sense as soon as we heard about that.
Yeah, when I heard that I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense.
This explains many things.
Yeah, like I think at the beginning of the season he was working on 911 a little bit, but that's also just due to the fact that Lone Star hadn't started filming till like September, I think it was, when they started filming.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense where 911 started their first 2 episodes in July, like the end of July. So that's just interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, because we were talking a little bit about this earlier, and for me, like, I know people are like, I wish we could get more Tarlos, and I'm like, honestly, I don't want any more Tarlos like teasers, because last year they teased us all these Tarlos, like the kisses and stuff, and then both scenes were cut out of episode 1. So like, I'd rather not get a bunch, because then then I'm like, it's more to get cut.
That's true, and that's actually sort of my attitude with the season. Like, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm kind of leaving my expectations wide open.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I would rather be blown out of the park than have any sort of like disappointments with anything I'm expecting, or like any huge expectations. I'm like, I know they're going to do amazingly, and I'm going to leave it sort of at that. Of course, I have what I want to happen. I have some of those things, but other than that, I'm just like, I'm sort of chill.
Yeah, and like I haven't really read too many interviews. Like it just hasn't been something I have done, but I have seen like some where people they're like, "Oh, Tarlos is gonna go through a lot this year. It's gonna be like I don't know exactly the wording they use, but like they're gonna go through like a lot, and it might be hard, and people are freaking out about it. Where I'm just like, there is no reason to freak out because like to me the relationship has always been like real. They're not like gonna break them up every 5 seconds like some shows like to do.
Oh my
They're
god.
gonna
Yeah,
make it
really.
just like real, and like they have like real life issues like any couple
Couples
should.
go through hard times.
I'd rather them go through
Yes,
hard
exactly.
times and like be stronger than have this fake relationship that like some
Right.
shows really do.
Or
Yeah,
just all of
where
it, sleeping around and, it's all for the fun.
yeah, like
Which,
Yeah.
Is
they're
fun too, but
they're a solid relationship, and they're showing it.
aside
So
from
like,
Grace and Judd, they are the most solid relationship on that show.
That's a fact. That's so true. Especially thinking
Um,
about like even just in the 911 verse, like it's the most like besides Grace and Judd, and I feel like it's pretty solid, especially
yeah.
thinking about like some of Buck's relationship.
Yeah, really. And even Eddie's had some ups and downs too.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so okay, so one of the promos we got, I think it was one of the first ones we got, was like right after a 911 promo. It gave like this 15-second teaser of
Yeah,
like
well
the
this was
snowstorm.
this one, the 15-second teaser is like one of the newer ones because we
Mm,
did talk about like the longer ones like a couple weeks ago and stuff.
yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay.
But this one is like a 15-second teaser where it's like everything we pretty much have seen already. Like they showed like, TK though going for an ice bath,
You're
they
right.
they showed like Owen, they showed like pretty much everyone kind of in their element and with like a very extremely slowed down version of Let It Snow, which I love because it's just like, okay, we're getting Christmas wintry vibes, even though Lone Star is not giving that to us and
I would
stuff.
love it if they just surprised us and had like a tiny little Christmas blip in there or something.
You know
I would
what?
love a holiday episode,
I
period.
would, if, yeah, just because we're on the topic, you know what I'd love to see? Like, okay, so like, I would love to see like all the holidays, or at least most of them, in like an episode, like kind of like if they were to do like little mini like flashbacks or like time jumps to show like
Mhm.
a year of the holidays and like what they did, because like if they're gonna just continually air in like this time of year, we always miss out on all the good holidays, and it'd be cool for them to just throw it all in to give it to us.
Though, like not just Christmas, like
Yeah, no, not
Yeah.
Halloween.
because like we know Marjan is Muslim,
Yeah, that
so I,
too.
I don't remember any particular Muslim holidays in the winter, not off the top of my head. I apologize, but I'm sure there are some.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
anything revolving that, and there have been speculations that the strands at least have some Jewish in them. So
Mhm.
maybe do they celebrate Hanukkah? We know Ronan celebrates Hanukkah, but that doesn't mean much
Yeah.
other than he celebrates
Right.
Hanukkah. But
Well, and
like
we know that
just
Gwen is Jewish, so it makes sense that TK would have at least celebrated as a kid.
Yeah.
we've seen that they did celebrate Christmas as a kid, because the flashback to when TK was a child in season 1 was, well, it looked Christmas.
Well,
Oh
it was
yeah.
December and it was his birthday, but yeah, I think I did see a Christmas tree or some lights or something up.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
like in the traditional like Christmas Santa sense, we know that was a thing when he was a kid, but I could go way into this. Sorry. But just give us a holiday episode, please.
Please. And like so the other part of this clip that we've seen before was kind of like Owen saying that he doesn't know if he will be able to fix this, but he'll try. And I feel like a lot of people assume that it's about the storm. And it could very much likely be about the storm, but it also maybe it's about like the 126 like closing.
Well, that's actually my first thought when hearing that
Because
is
like yeah, same. like, because I just feel like everyone just assumes about the storm because this is like what we're getting. But I feel like a lot of the moments they show us in promos could honestly not even be in the premiere. They could be in other episodes, and they're
Oh, I
just
feel like it's definitely spread out. Like I feel like I feel like they're gonna leave us on a cliffhanger with like TK going to the ice or something. Like
you
that's
know
how
they're going to.
Oh
You
yeah,
know how the
that's
first
gonna be
episode.
at the end of the season, end of episode 1 is gonna be
You
him
know
going
it's
into the
gonna,
drink.
yeah.
So and then we're gonna have a week to wait and find out what happens. And
Mhm.
Ronan is gonna love the teasing he gets to do because of it.
I swear I'm going to throw him in jail myself.
Ronan, don't make us take a long trip to LA just find you. And be like,
Actually, yes, please.
"Ah."
But
They're gonna be
like
like,
no.
Ronan? Oh yeah, yeah. And
Anyway,
then-
that got way involved. Sorry.
it's a mood. And then we
Yeah.
get that like sneak peek featurette, which gave a lot of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
And expanded on a lot. So like Owen kind of like Owen I feel like is definitely secluded from everyone else. Like he's definitely like somewhere in the country and stuff,
Mhm.
and he's like of all these different like people we've never seen before.
The vibe I'm getting is like he decided to like go out to the country with Buttercup and like I don't know, just like play hermit for like a few months, and
Yeah.
then like something happens and people hear that he's like a fire captain or whatever, and then like he has to go help people, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's very un-Owen like.
Yeah.
Funny enough, you say it's not Owen like, but to some degree, I can kind of see him doing this because it actually feels a tiny bit eccentric,
Same.
and we know he's
Yeah.
eccentric.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to learn why he's there. It could also just be like he's suspended, he has nothing to do, and maybe Judd's family has a cabin up there, and he asked him if he wants to like take a vacation there or something like that. Like
Right.
I don't know. I feel like there could be a lot of different explanations, but I want to
Yeah.
know what it is.
Yeah, and like I think like somebody gets hurt there, so like obviously like he has to do stuff. I mean, and obviously like that's just something he would do.
I think
As anybody would.
the episode synopsis said someone stabbed there.
Oh yeah, which yeah, we'll get to that. There's a lot.
There's so much. We're jumping all over the place. Stick with us, people. And by
Yeah.
us, I mean because I'm definitely leading us off track.
Yeah, so then Mateo's helmet's shown and it says 129, so we know he's like officially a firefighter, like not a probie, and it's cool to see. Like I love to see it. I know we're not gonna get like anything, but I really want to with that, like seeing it. Like the 126 is out of like wag. The 126 is not the 126 right now, but I still want to see like the official like thing, even though
Mhm.
we're probably not going to, but that's okay, I guess. We see Judd in a scene, which I love. Love that.
Yeah.
And then there's this one, which I didn't realize this until I was going through everything last night. But Marjan is standing outside the 126, like across the street almost, and she's
Mhm.
watching construction workers like appear and like try to like demolish like the 126. And
Yeah, they're prepping the building to be torn down, and she's watching it.
yeah, which we'll get to the pictures later because there's a lot more from that. But yeah. And then as we've been teased like 100 times practically, TK falls into like the lake or whatever and saving the kid and stuff, and that's gonna be interesting. And then a building collapses because of the weight of the snow, which makes a lot of sense. Like we were talking about earlier, how like Texas, like just even like buildings aren't like structurally like built to like hold that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's very
Right.
like interesting. That's a building where like Carlos is trying to get people out of, like where he is
Mhm.
currently. And I was like paying attention closely to like the building, and it looks like a church because there's like several signs that like of like that and stuff.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah, and it could be too because you know a lot of churches will open up their building to allow people come in during like the winter. So like it could be a church and some volunteers because I noticed he's
Yeah.
walking with a guy with like a red vest.
Yes.
he could be a volunteer, and then something crashes and they'll see the window blow out and Carlos ducks.
Yeah, and then we also see Paul is trapped in some sort of building, so that's gonna be interesting. Yes, because Paul content, but also like no, Paul, no.
But Paul content.
Yes.
Right.
I'm so ready for Paul to grace my screen again. Just
I love him. And then we see Marjan driving the snow like off road, and she like almost collides with another car, and I'm just like, okay.
Well, she's from Miami. It's not like she'd be familiar
Okay.
driving in the snow.
it's true.
That's the first thing. I'm like, everyone's gonna have like a different vibe because like okay, Paul, TK, like Owen, they're all gonna be like, this is nothing because they're all used to like this kind of stuff. And then like Marjan's gonna be like, it is too cold. Like if we don't get that, like that's a wasted opportunity. And I'm like, as we know, Grace is very pregnant. And we see like them, and like every time they show the baby's room, I'm like, there's no way that's a boy because it's so good.
Oh yeah, I think it's a girl.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's a girl. Like there's no doubt.
So Judd knew.
Judd knew. Judd was
I find that it's funny that at least one of the parents is usually right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
At least in TV land.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because it reminds me of myself. Okay, so like I was like a surprise gender and stuff, like my parents didn't find out. And like it's funny because I can't remember what my parents thought. I don't really know if they really thought anything, but like everyone was convinced I was a boy except for one of my aunts. She was like, it's a girl. But everyone thought it was a boy. And that's what that reminded me of for a quick second.
I am the last of 4 girls.
Yeah.
And so there had just been like girl after girl after girl. And then there was 4 years wait between my older sister and myself. Mm-hmm. And so when I came along, I don't know if there was anything anyone particularly thought I was going to be, but it was definitely like, I don't think anyone was getting their hopes up too high.
Yeah, definitely. But then Owen comes into contact with a ranger and he like tackles him, and I'm like, this is one of the things where things are happening so fast in promos, but I'm just like taking it every moment, and I'm like, okay, what does this mean and who or why?
Owen's getting a little bad boy streak going.
Owen is like, you know how TK was kind of like a little feisty in like season 1. This is like what he's acting like.
Oh yeah,
I
think he's having a midlife crisis.
I was just about to say.
Probably. Honestly, we saw that last season a bit, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That's the start of it for sure.
Yeah.
Then we see like a glimpse of TK and Owen. TK's in PJs, and I'm just like, that's adorable.
Oh yeah, TK good.
And then this has to be probably my favorite part of like all the promos is like Billy showing up at the writers, and Grace is there, and she answers the door, and then she goes to her garage, and he's like following her, and she tells them that he's trespassing.
Just so you know, you're trespassing.
Yeah, just so you know. Yes, I am like, yes, girl, yes, queen. Like, oh,
go Grace. She's mad at him too.
Oh yeah, she is mad on behalf of her husband and the 126.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Her too, because she obviously has known Billy for a while since he's a friend of Judd's.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Billy and Judd worked together at the 126 before everything happened. So the only reason why Billy didn't get killed in the fire is because he was on medical leave because of his cancer.
Right.
Or the explosion.
Yeah. Every time I think about Billy, I just get this like feeling of just like, I don't know, like doubt, but also kind of like just sad because like the way in episode 12, like we were just like, oh my god, we love Billy, like yes, and like
that lasted a whole 2.3 seconds.
Yeah. And then it's like his character development, which some people are like, what character development? I'm like, did you not watch the series? Because there was some good improvements, but like it's like it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It's like a heart rate monitor.
Yeah. No, I'm still trying to forget that anything beyond episode 12 really exists, but sadly,
Yeah,
I will
sadly.
not be able to be in denial much longer.
Yeah, I know. I think if I watch any two episodes, I'm gonna watch 12 and the last episode. But I'm also like, oh, why am I doing this to myself? But anyways, then the 129 races off, which we kind of know that like Mateo's still there, which I'm kind of wondering how that's going. And then this is the part that most people are freaked out about, where us were just like, yeah, whatever. But TK is in the
Like,
snow with his shirt off, and Tommy like puts a blanket on him. And like at first when I saw this, I was like, what the heck? Why does he have a shirt on? Like he's literally in the snow, like cold. And I was like, oh, it's probably because of the lake. They probably took his clothes off, so like, because that would make
well,
it
yeah, you have to
worse.
get the wet clothes off so he can get
Right.
warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was like, yeah, that's why, duh. But yeah, I'm just like, what's happening? But like then like the Carlos and Nancy clip where like
Oh.
Carlos is just like, how serious is it, Nancy? And Nancy's just like, it's not good. And I'm just like, what do you mean it's not good? Like, I'm just so nonchalant about like this all. I'm like, it's whatever. Like people are so dramatic. It's just because people are so traumatized about it on Twitter and just all over. They're just like, oh my God, TK's gonna fall in the water. He's gonna go into a coma. It's like, that already happened.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm just gonna say I am every time I think people can't get more moronic, they prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Because every time it shows that something is happening to somebody, there's a pathetically large amount of people who go around screaming with their heads like chickens with their heads cut off, yelling, "They're gonna die!"
Yeah, like
Let's put it this way: Ronan still has a job. He's not dying. His character, I mean.
oh yeah. And like it's just the fact that like they're way past like all these episodes that like, and we've seen him like in like his TK clothes, quote unquote. So
Right.
he's still like, he's still there. He's still thriving and stuff. And then we
But
see
I really like seeing that clip though, because it shows like Nancy's comforting Carlos because she's giving him a hug, and you kind of see like Carlos is trying to be strong because he's in his uniform, so he must have been called from work while when this happened. So I don't know, it was a sweet moment to see like the interaction between Nancy and Carlos.
yes.
So I am excited to see that, like to have, like some concern and, him rushing in and kind of worried about TK. And, we'll probably get another scene of him sitting down next to TK in the hospital bed.
If they're gonna have him get hurt once a season, at least we're getting it early on, so then we can just like,
be done with it for now. And then they can just do some other drama later. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it instead of waiting till like halfway through the season or whatever.
Right.
But who knows? But then like the building, of course, we know collapses where Carlos is and stuff, and then we see Owen carrying a person with Buttercup, and I just gotta say, I love that they're actually like, using Buttercup.
Mm-hmm.
Finally,
I know.
Like
he still needs to get his own Instagram. Just saying.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm. Can we start a petition? Like, I would literally start a
Get
petition for
Benji
this.
what are they calling him? Benji?
Yeah, I think it's Ben.
He needs his own Instagram.
He really does. Then we see like some guys from the 125, I believe it was, and then somebody lights a blowtorch. These are just little things that happen, and like Carlos is going around with a flashlight. Paul is like jumping out of. I'm assuming it was where he was like trapped or whatever. So he's like freeing himself. Yes, love to see it. And then we see like Tommy and Nancy like pulling TK. From what it looks like.
Yeah.
And stuff, which a lot is expanded on that in a couple more, I guess, promos. And then the next one was like the story time one that they posted like right before Christmas with like with Gina like reading, like that was so cool.
Yeah, like it was the night before Christmas, but a 911 Lone Star version. It was very interesting.
It was interesting in like a weird, cool way, I guess. But the first half of it was like all the stuff that we've pretty much already discussed. Yeah. But the second half was like even more of a sneak peek because we see like the kid playing like ice hockey like in the middle of the lake by himself. I'm like, why is this kid by himself? Like that was just my thought. Like
totally kid thing, like, oh, I'm gonna go play hockey. The lake's frozen over. Well, not thinking it might not be safe.
I just think like, yeah, like where are these parents at the time? Like, okay, like, you know that this isn't safe. You know that people fall in lakes because they literally go on like lakes that have ice frozen over on them, and you know, like, they collapse. So like, why is this happening? But that's just where my like brain goes during this moment. And of course he falls in, and then like elsewhere we see Owen, like, as we have in other promos, request assistance. Then this is my favorite. It's TK, Nancy, and Tommy. And Tommy's just like, TK, you sure about this? And he's like, don't worry, Cap. I did a bunch of these back in the day in Central Park. This is no different. And Nancy's just like, you're using a bed sheet as a life ring or something like that, and a laryngoscope as a ice pick. It's different. And TK's like, valid point. And of course he falls in. But like, Tommy
I love that line.
Yeah, same. It's when we see that.
I love that Brianna Baker got series
yes
cast, you know, so she'll be in pretty much, I mean, not that she wasn't already, but she's a full cast member now.
Yeah, and like, I just love like that whole scene. Like, I can't wait to see it actually in the episode. But like, and then like Tommy telling him not to let go, and I'm just like, oh, this is lovely. Like, I just love all this. I love this moment because I had been saying like for literally like months when we ever talk about Lone Star that like TK has to make some comment of like back New York days.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, seriously.
Right, and then we got that promo / sneak peek from the show.
Yeah, it was more like a sneak peek because it was like from the episode, but yeah.
So Owen's walking out of fire headquarters and basically saying that, you know, the 126 is being, you know, listed as to be demolished, and everybody's going to stay in their current temporary assignments permanently. And then Mateo's like, oh man, so we're never going to be together again. And then Tommy and Owen are like, oh, we're going to fight to get us back. We're family. Like, and that was like such an awesome like saying, like,
yeah, because like it was awesome just because like they were like, no, we're gonna keep fighting, we're not gonna stop, we're never gonna stop, like we're gonna fight until we're back together. And it's just like somebody said how like the 126 is being demolished, and then I forget who said it, but they're like, they can't do that. And I think it was Judd that said, yeah, they can.
No, Nancy said it's the city, they can do anything they want.
Oh yeah, this is the thing. So much has happened. I can't remember who said what. It all blends together.
But I loved seeing that all of them were there, like together, waiting to find out from Owen what was going on, and I love seeing Owen and kind of Tommy banding together to be like, no, we're gonna fight this. We're gonna keep together, and we're gonna get back together somehow. And I think there was a picture that Natasha had posted of her and Brian and Ronan from the day they filmed that scene. Because that was the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody asked Ronan, is that a TK hoodie or is that just you? And he's like, it's a TK hoodie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, love it. He has, just talking about TK hoodies, there was a blue one he had, like a navy, like dark blue. And then there was also a white one. And those are the only ones I can remember besides that one, which that one was like gray with like colors on like the sleeves, like on like the shoulder, almost like upper arm area and stuff. But I'm so excited. Like, I get most excited for the TK hoodies, not gonna lie.
I know, right? Like, we get to add more to the count now that he's like had all of them burned, so now we get new ones.
Yeah. Can we just talk about how my dog has a hoodie? So like, I'm like, oh my god, he's a little TK, and my parents are just like, what do you mean? What does that mean?
Gosh. Let's see here. So episode description. So the official description of 911-301 is: an unexpected Arctic cold front brings an ice storm to Austin and a variety of weather-related emergencies. Meanwhile, Owen deals with the fallout of the 126 closing as Tommy, Nancy, and TK settle into new employment, and Judd and Grace prepare for the birth of their first baby.
Yeah.
And the one thing I loved at the end of that last sneak peek we were just talking about is Owen says, he's like, we're gonna keep fighting until hell freezes over. And then like the next clip is like a frozen Austin.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I'm like, oh, you spoke that into existence.
Yeah, like literally, like that always happens. Don't you ever notice how that always happens? All the disasters, like 911, they like say something and then all of a sudden you see like whatever the disaster for that season's gonna be.
You mean they jinxed it?
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
And then for 302 is the ice storm causes havoc in Austin. As an unexpected Arctic cold front, an ice storm continues to cause havoc in Austin. Tommy, TK, and Nancy race to rescue a young boy who has fallen in a frozen pond. Jed and Mateo work furiously to help a trapped Paul, and Owen takes drastic measures to save a man who has been stabbed and left for dead in the snowy hill country.
Can we just talk about?
I'm actually very excited.
Yeah.
Me too.
Can we just talk about whenever they like release these press releases, synopsises, instead of saying like Tommy, TK, and Nancy, they say Tommy, TK, and Jillian. And I'm just thinking, they don't even call her by her last name on the show. So like, why are you writing it like this? It just seems like, and people were talking about it like online. They're like, that just seems messy. Like they don't even call like any of the other characters by their last names. So what is the point of like saying that in press releases? I just think it's weird.
No, it's ridiculous. And like
it
feels messy but intentional.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm just like, please explain yourself.
Yeah, like it's interesting, but like like we know like this majority of the storm's gonna hit in the first episode, and then like I think like obviously we've kind of talked about this, but like TK's gonna TK the last few seconds of the show, TK's gonna fall into the water, and that's how they'll end it, and then we're gonna be screaming for a week.
Oh yeah. And we'll just be like, the fox.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but like I'm kind of excited for like that, even though we're gonna like it's a week. We can handle a week. We've handled worse. We've
handled worse.
We've handled way worse. Like, just us currently having to wait to see how like 911 and like Eddie leaving the 118 pans out for like months, but we have Lone Star to distract us, so it's okay, it's fine, we're thriving. So shall we talk about the pictures we've gotten?
Sure.
So, and like by the way, we've posted these on our Instagram, so if anybody wants to look at it and stuff. We're not going to talk about the first set of ones we posted just because we talked about those like a couple months ago, kind of old at this point, but lots of winter vibes. We have like, ones of like Tommy, single ones of like Tommy, TK, Nancy, like in the snow. We have like Mateo, different like firehouses. So it's gonna be like interesting, but very like wintry vibes with the first one and stuff. And then the second set, like we have like several of Owen in like, his cowboy hat in the country. And there's a couple new characters this season. One will be in the premiere and stuff. And like she's gonna kind of like, I guess, help Owen with this whole scenario. I believe she was like she's an artist or something. I kind of read a while back like what's going down with like new minor characters we're getting. And then the main one I think to note is how this is so Marjan. Marjan simply has herself like chained to like a pole at the 126.
Yeah, she's trying to protest the demolition of it.
Okay, this does not surprise me at all. This is very Marjan. She's taking like an Instagram video right now and being
she's totally Instagram living it. Right?
I was just about to say, no, she's on Instagram live being like, hey, Firefox here, chained to a pole at the 126, help me save 126. And then we also know that Carlos shows up, and like we're like, oh my god, Carlos is gonna like, no, I feel like Carlos is just gonna talk some sense, be like, are you sure this is the right move?
Yeah, I don't think there's any huge drama coming with it or anything. He's just gonna be like, please don't make me have to like arrest you.
Yeah. It'd be awkward.
Just like, please don't. I agree with you, but like, please don't.
Yeah, Carlos is just like, I feel like he's very like he will listen to you. He is like sensible in that sense. So, and like I love the picture that we see of Carlos, just like the snow and like him. I am like Carlos. There's no denying that like TK and Carlos are my favorite, but Carlos just might be like in that slot. And I'm very excited for Carlos.
Oh, I'm so excited for Carlos. Give us Carlos die.
Especially since like it's been teased that like, oh, we're especially gonna get a lot of Carlos. Thanks, Ronan. Like it's the fact that I have like a whole folder on my computer of like things Ronan's teased. Just to get back. Let me just find that just because like some of them I feel like we have to talk about. Where is this? So do you guys remember when when was this? A couple months ago when Roden was saying how like 911 Lone Star was gonna be like the best out of like the series or something along the lines of that. Like how did he word it? I forget. It was like best in the 911 franchise or something like that.
Honestly, I don't remember
Yeah, I
anything off
don't.
the top of my head.
Well, I mean, I know he said something like this is the best season yet or something like that.
No, he said
That's all he's been saying.
Okay, I found it. He says, I repeat, best season of the 9-1, the entire 9-1 universe. And it was funny because people didn't get that it was a joke. And people were being like, oh, 9-1 cast is offended, Rona. And I was like, do you not know humor?
People, yeah. Do I need to say again about morons? Anyway.
Like Aisha quote tweeted it with like had entered the chat. And it was like a gif of her that says seriously, and then Ronan quote tweets it of like one of TK from I think season 1 where he's like yep, and then Oliver had like that, or no, Oliver replied to it on his Instagram story with like huh, and then like somebody quote tweeted it with like that image of Buck like all confused. I think this is from the Ocean's 118 episode where they're all being interrogated, and like the one where it has math all over, like and like
and then Buck's like, no, what again?
Well, yeah, exactly. And yeah, like Oliver's just like, I'm sorry, what was that? Like the one from Buck that I think was the episode where he was being clipboard Buck like 1.0 like last season.
I love clipboard Buck.
Same.
I love that nickname.
That like needs to be on a shirt if it doesn't already. It was just funny to see like some of the 9-1 cast, like the ones that are actually semi-active online, like be like, excuse me, what are we saying? And then he posted this Ronan, I forget when this was, but like a couple months ago, he posted like something on his Instagram story that was like, how are we feeling from today's chaos in the fandom? And in my head, I was just like, you mean the chaos you started?
I know, right?
He always starts it.
Yeah, he's always like, how are we feeling? You mean everything that you adjust. You made up. You caused us to feel this way. It's just funny.
It's literally like Ronan and Rafa's voice. Ronan.
Yeah.
Right. Or what just happened the other day? Oh, and it's those memes of like chaos going on in the background and somebody like in the front like saying like me when the fandom's going crazy, and it's just like taking a drink of soda or something. Like I'm like,
okay.
Yeah. And like then this is like how he like teases. He's just like, oh, I'm really excited for that one thing that's gonna happen in episode 1 through 18. It's like, yeah, very cool. Like, very cool. Thanks, dude.
If he wasn't so lovable, he just I don't know, I'm out of words. It's just like, Ronan.
I do love it because like I feel like his teasing is like getting us excited and like it gives us something to look forward to, right. But we're also just like, come on, we want to know.
Oh yeah, I was talking to my friend the other night and something was happened. Oh, and Ronan was so Max, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but on Twitter, Ronan and Max, I guess Max has been doing interviews with some of the cast.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I do too.
And Ronan and him were like having this back and forth. And at some point, Ronan posted a picture of Heath Ledger running across the steps in 10 Things I Hate About You when the cops were chasing him. He's like, okay, gotta run. The Fox police are here. Something like that.
I loved that.
I was like, if that's not so true, they're probably texting him like on fire, like, stop it.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. I absolutely, that is why I don't really like Twitter anymore, especially like not Lone Star verse, mostly just 9-1, but that is the only reason when I go on Twitter, that's the reason why for this. That is the
Yeah.
only reason.
And then we kind of all had our own theories kind of going up into this too. So I think we should
Yeah.
talk about some of our theories.
So, like, we've kind of already talked about some of these, but based on the promos, like, obviously we know the 126, not even just Owen's separate, secluded from everyone else, and everyone else just doing their own thing. I mean, I feel like the rest of them are kind of intertwined. Like, I think, like, some of them will, like, almost come to TK's rescue, where Tommy and Nancy are too. And then the Tarlos thing, I kind of forgot about, like, we kind of talked about the picture we got, thing, but I think Tarlos, based on that picture, which is adorable, I think they're gonna be moved into their own place by now, which I would hope so. Like, I don't think he wants to stay with his dad for 6 months.
Right.
Oh, I do not think so.
So that picture, I think, is when TK's coming home from the hospital and he's walking in to surprise him with, everybody there to surprise him, to welcome him home to their new home.
Okay, I don't know.
That's possible.
That's possible. I do think, like, I feel like it could be that, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I get the vibe that, like, everyone's there to, like, celebrate that.
I definitely, like, my main theory is that it's just, them coming in the first time, or maybe he was at the hospital and, well, TK was at the hospital, Carlos, like, got a lot of their stuff set up or something, and he's surprising via that.
Yeah.
Or like set up dinner or something to surprise him with.
I think that's more likely, because I want them to have, like, their own, like, kind of thing. I don't want, like, everyone else be twined into it. I would kind of like Carlos time.
Right.
Yeah,
we do need
like,
that. We do need that.
We'll take anything, but, like, it doesn't count fully if it's with other people.
Yeah, that's kind of what exactly. And
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and, like, obviously we've been saying this whole time, but, like, TK's gonna be just fine. Like, I don't think it's gonna be made into this, like, whole, like, drawn out thing. I don't think it's gonna, like, because some people are like, oh, episode 6, this is TK still gonna be. No, TK is not. Like, I don't know why people are just, like, expecting, like, this whatever to be, like, through, like, the whole, like, season. Like, no.
Yeah.
TK's gonna be fine, and that might just be us, but, like,
No, he's going to be fine. If anything, I'm irritated that it's TK again, like, being hurt.
I know.
Like, I'm just like, third straight season, you're turning him into another Buck.
That's what I don't
fortunately with slightly more sense.
Yeah.
I love Buck, okay, but TK has more sense than Buck.
That's true. Very true.
I think TK is more mature than Buck.
Oh, 100%. Like, they both have their moments, but TK is definitely more mature than Buck. And I can't wait for the moment, because we know this is going to happen at some point, where the 126 will fight together to take out Billy, because that's going to be part of them getting, like, the 126 back. Is, like, I'm also, like, kind of, like, thinking, like, how did Billy get that much power where he could literally just, like, do some selfish things, like close the 126? I'm just like, how did you get this power so fast?
Yeah, I don't think. The only thing I could think of is that the deputy chief said, okay, I want you to look at this document that Owen put together, where, it talked about how this department was spending money they didn't need. And I think he just... the deputy chief was like, okay, well, give me your recommendations since you're going to take over, and I'll decide what, if I want to agree to it or not, or something like that.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, this is what Billy decides to do.
And also there's something with having connections.
Yeah,
that's true, because, like, obviously, like, he knows Radford and that kind of stuff, and, like, he knows people, but still, like...
So something we've never really talked about it really since the pilot episode, but the whole reason why they asked Owen to come down to Texas was because he had put back together the 252, but he'd done it in a very inclusive, like, diverse group. And that's the whole reason why they wanted him to come down, is so they could kind of diversify the department. Well, so I can't believe that it hasn't come up. Why hasn't Owen picked up the phone and called remember that gal that came with Radford to New York? She was from like the DOJ or something, about how them saying they needed to have more diversity. And I'm like, why isn't he picking up the phone and calling her and being like, look, they're closing down the most diverse, group in, department, firehouse and stuff. But I was like, you've got that line. Why don't you pull that? Because that is, I mean, other than having, Paul and Marjan and Mateo there and TK, you can't, I don't know. I'm like, why hasn't that been brought up since?
No, yeah, like I feel like that's one of those things where that lady from the DOJ and kind of like Redford, that kind of thing, was kind of like something they kind of like buried almost, in a sense, like where I feel like I would like that to come back up again and be like, why are they doing this? But I'm also like, I don't know, like there's just so many like things. And like I've also seen like, I don't know, like I've seen Billy and like some of these like teasers or whatever, and I'm just like, what is
Speaking
this
of
man doing?
Billy, I was scrolling through my Instagram feed this morning, and I follow Billy Burke, Instagram hashtag. And so one of the fan pages posted a picture of him without a beard, and I was like, okay, that's the Billy Burke that I think's hot. I could do without the scruff for Billy Burke. I love Billy Burke, not Billy from Lone Star.
Yeah, okay, even when he was good, I didn't love him. I just liked him. And I don't know. I feel like just like when they get the 126 back, 'cause we know, like I've seen pictures from like people that are like they work on Lone Star that have shown the 126 truck, so we know they get it back eventually.
Right.
But like I don't even know where I was going with that.
I'm not sure how they're going to end the Billy part. Like, what's going to happen there?
The only thing I can think of is somehow the group, even though they're not working together, they somehow come together to like rescue Billy or rescue someone. And they're like, see, we work better as a team than separate. So why don't you give us the 126 back?
Oh yeah. Now I know where I was going with this. Like I feel like them like going after Billy to get the 126 back is going to lead to like them almost like not like I mean, the first word that I came up is like taking Billy out, but like I didn't mean it like that. I meant like
on a date or with a gun. Sorry, I had to
make love, not war.
Bone gets their date.
Surprise me. Yes.
But like they're gonna have to like, I don't know, there's something. And like I know like a lot of people like when they showed Grace in that first ever like long preview they showed, or it wasn't really long, but like the longer one of most of them, and people are trying to like figure out, me included, who like was holding Grace's hand, and people were like after that, and after I had talked about that, people were like, oh, I think it's Billy because like of this reason. And I'm like, okay, let me just dig into your theories. No, I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but I don't know. And it's just like I can see certain things happening. Like with that, I could literally see like Grace in that one part being like, oh, you're trespassing, but then like Judd finds out something's wrong or something, and like him having to call, and Billy's like the last resort, so he has to. I don't know. I could see them doing that, but like I'm not gonna put that out there and say that's gonna happen. But
it's just like, okay, are they going to have another redemption arc, or are we finally like finishing this?
I want them to redeem him just for the fact that we can stay on stable grounds. But I'm also like, if they redeem him and then they
they're gonna have when they need another villain, he's going to be unredeemed again.
Right. And that's
what
thing.
I mean.
Like, I don't want that to keep happening. Like we need more villains than just Billy. Like it's been now what, first season, second season, now into third season. It's like it's time for another villain.
I feel like his arc has to end. Like obviously they had him come back for a reason. And like episode 12 we were hoping for good and we were hoping he would stay good, and then he didn't. But I feel like them bringing him back, like I feel like his arc has to end at some point, because are we gonna have like this every friggin' season where he comes back just to be their quote unquote villain. Like
well, there's running out of reasons for him to keep coming back and causing problems too, like Owen and his cancer, then taking the job from Owen, blaming him for the fire at first before they realized what was really going on, and then now becoming like Owen's boss. And I'm like,
exactly, like
how much more
can we take,
or finish the arc? Like,
that's exactly.
I think Billy needs to just realize that at some point when the 126 is back together, that he's never going to get them to like close the 126, and he's never going to be captain of that firehouse. So he just needs to hop on his little horse and ride off into the sunset and be done with the storyline.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Put his little cowboy hat on with his tail between his legs and ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Have a nice retirement.
Yeah, really.
I don't know.
Because, you know, if he continue, here's my thought. Like, if they do end up getting the 126 back together, which we know they're going to somehow.
I can't picture them having this be like the way things end. Like,
well, we know the 126 is going to come back together at some point, but you're not going to be able to have Billy as Owen's boss.
No, that's going to be complicated.
It's going to be way too complicated and way too much of a conflict of interest. So something's got to give. And we know they're not getting rid of Rob Lowe. So the only person they can get rid of is Billy. So somehow something's going to happen to Billy, and he's either going to just wave the white flag and be, say, I give up. And he's going to have to realize at some point, no matter what he tries, the 126 is like a phoenix. It keeps coming out of the fire. So he just needs to give up.
At the firehouse.
Yeah. I also feel like that Billy, like, because he wasn't there at the time with the original 126 when that huge fire happened, they all died besides Judd. I feel like there's a lot of like pent almost like anger about that.
Probably
and
survivor's guilt.
Survivor's guilt too. Mostly survivor's guilt, actually. So I
honestly, I don't think that they've explored that with him enough.
Yeah, that's
just
why
make him into the bad guy for wanting the 1-8.
Yeah, that's kind of
back. Yeah, and like yes, he's not going about the right thing with that, but like no, there's definitely survivor's guilt.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like that's maybe where they're going with this, where that might lead to. And
put him in therapy and let's call it done.
Yeah. what I don't want is for the season, like season 3, this is so ironic, to become season 3 of 911, where like like I don't think it's gonna go to that extremes, but I don't like similarly comparing like lawsuit Buck era to like what is gonna have. I don't want it to be like that drawn out or to like go to that level. So I don't want it to mirror that. It is basically
right.
I agree.
I don't know like what else that I necessarily think is gonna happen. I feel like Snowstorm wise they've teased so much where like other parts of the season, like I think baby writer wise, I think like Grace will have the baby like quite soon, like within the first few episodes of the season.
I think by the end of the snowstorm she'll have the baby.
See, I don't I thought that at first, and then like that kind of
or mid-season.
I think it's gonna
what the timeline is.
I think like within the first 5 episodes, somewhere between 1 and 5, she'll have the baby. Well, I don't necessarily think it'll be in the first episode just because of that sneak peek. I feel like that was just very like obvious, and I don't want it to be that. Where I know they do obvious things sometimes, but like I'm just like it seems like too clear, and I'm just like no.
I was thinking, so when she found out, which was in 2009, that she was pregnant, which is the end of 2009, and we went 10 through 14, we don't know exactly how much time span, but she wasn't showing in 2009 or when she went back to the call center. So I feel like she's maybe, if this is a 6 months in the future and she was only like 2 months then, she'd be 7 or 8 months pregnant by now. So she could be close to having the baby. And we know in season 4 of 911, Maddie kind of went to almost that mid-season before they had her, and I don't know if they're going to want to repeat the same kind of time frame with that.
Yeah, but I don't think that would matter. It's not like they're copying storylines. It's like and it's a little different. Like I don't think that would matter, but I don't know. Like I feel like it's too good to be true to be like, oh, she's gonna have the baby in this episode. Like I feel like there's gonna be a lot
if
going
it's in the middle of the freaking snowstorm, then it's hardly an ideal situation.
Nothing's ideal. That's what
Precisely.
I mean.
Yeah. So I can see it perhaps for that reason.
And like
because that's a lot of drama and stuff. So
and like some of the titles of episodes like further along, like in like 3 or 4 or 5 are like very like baby related. So I'm like, okay, like if these are actually legitimate titles, like it almost makes sense why it would happen then. It could. I'm not saying it's not gonna happen in the snowstorm, but I don't know. It just seems like I don't know. It doesn't seem like I'm not 100% sure on it or like 100% sold on it, I guess.
I don't know. I feel like it could go either way. We really don't know enough about the rest of the season to be able to say.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely gonna be chaotic and either way. I mean, Maddie did give like she did go into labor during like that like car accident, like the pile up. So whatever Lone Star
she was not part of it.
No,
right.
That's 100% true. Like, but like she was like trying to work through all that. So whatever Lone Star does, we know is going to lead up to chaos. It's going to be chaotic either way because this is just how it works.
It's just sort of the franchise way.
Right. Exactly what I was going for.
Which we don't want it to be just kind of calm the whole time because then it doesn't leave too much suspense. But
I mean,
you can only handle so much.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to be like super trauma-y, but we also don't want like I don't know. I don't have any actual expectations for how that goes down. All I ask is like they somehow get shut there if it is during the snowstorm. And not like have it be like whoever.
Yeah, we don't want Billy to be the one present for the birth baby.
That's exactly what I was.
Be interesting.
That's exactly what I was trying not to say. So I was like, oh, I don't want to put that out there. Even though it's already filmed, it's not like it would have changed anything. It's already happened. I can't manifest anything.
I think you got anything else to share?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's hard because I'm like, I would expect to have more theories, but really, like, they haven't, like, teased all these different, like, scenarios. Like, we basically just have, like, whatever's gonna happen in, like, this episode, and, like, we kind of just know, like, what's happening here. But, like, I'm excited for all of it, and it's gonna be a crazy, wild ride, I guess. And I'm excited for all of it.
Yeah. We're gonna roll with whatever happens. And whatever happens will be great. So
yeah, I'm excited for season 3. I'm glad, I'm grateful that we're getting a season 3, especially with the pandemic and stuff still going on that, we just didn't know what was gonna happen there for a while. So yay, we get a season 3. And granted we had to wait like a long time, but we've done it before. We can do it again, and we get a full season this year. We don't get just 14 episodes; we get a full 18.
Yeah, so excited for that. Like it's great.
And there's been mentions that in the second half of the seasons, because both 911 and Lone Star will be airing back to back in the second part of their airing, that we'll get another crossover. So that'll be kind of cool when like hints start getting dropped about that to see like what they actually are going to plan on doing for a crossover.
Yeah. It'll be interesting
if that is the case.
Yeah, which I would assume that we like. I know we're definitely getting one, and I'm like excited for it, and like I don't know. I guess we'll have to talk about that when we get closer to knowing if or when that's happening.
For now, we just have this present time to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And if something happens not how we want it, guess what? There's always fan fiction.
Precisely. It fixes everything.
That's the whole, that's why I love fan fiction. Plus, we have a lot of very talented people in there, just saying. I'm like, if we can't get it in the show, and there's things like in between episodes that like we wish we would have seen. Like, I would have loved to have seen Carlos inviting TK to move in, but we didn't we can get that in fan fiction or we can write it. So
Yeah.
I'm loving what we're getting so far because sometimes I feel like even though we're not getting it per se, it's a lot of it's implied. So I'm not worried about it.
Me either.
And it'll be cool to see. Like, I hope Gabriel and Andrea come back too. I hope
we'll
get
same.
more of Carlos's family, you know, meeting TK and finding out like how many siblings Carlos has, because we know he's not an only child.
And meeting Tia Lucy. I know I bring this up a lot, but come on.
Yep.
You can't mention her like 2-3 times and not show us her. Like, come on.
Right.
Yeah, like, come on. We're waiting.
Yeah, we've known about her since the pilot. It's time to introduce her.
I love how she's been mentioned literally twice, and she's such a big fixture.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Anchor. We're also on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and almost anywhere else you can find us or find podcasts. On iTunes, please rate us and leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. You guys can follow the podcast on our socials at 911LS Roundup on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We also now have a Discord server that we've been kind of chatting in here and there, so you should come and join us. The link is in the description of the podcast, and it's also in our Instagram bio.
You guys can follow me, Katie, at FlowofTarlos on Instagram and at ForLoveTarlos on Twitter.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at FronanRathland911 on Instagram and at CheapGirl31 on Twitter.
And you can find me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram and Twitter. Bye.
Bye.